Sometimes, listeners, ambition gets a bad rep. Either it's glorified to the point of burnout or dismissed as something that demands noise and domination. So just imagine, what if success doesn't have to shout to be heard? What if influence, impact, and growth could come from a quieter place, one rooted in purpose, humility, and calm confidence? Well, listeners, on this episode of the BizBlend podcast with your host Sana, we are exploring quiet ambition, not the absence of drive, but the evolution of it. How do you stay authentic to who you are while still pushing toward your biggest career goals? And how do you hold your ground in industries that often reward the loudest voice in the room? Well, listeners, joining me today is someone who's redefined what leadership looks like from the inside out. An executive, mentor, and author of Quiet Ambition, who's helping professionals everywhere rethink success on their own terms. So, listeners, meet my incredible guest, Patrick Kamba. And with that, let's get into the conversation. And Patrick, welcome to the show. And it is really, really an honor to have you here with us.
Hello, Sana. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad and happy to be here with you today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Me too, Patrick. And I mean, this is such an interesting. It's kind of redefining ambition, because uh, I mean, organically or automatically, whenever we think about specifically like an ambitious person, we always imagine like this type A personality, always strong, always active, always strong-willed. um, let's try to understand with your journey, of course, Patrick, and about your book as well. So early in your career, you have said that you believed ambition had to be loud, and success meant proving yourself constantly. This is something I have also believed in. But what was that turning point that made you realize that this wasn't the only way?
So thank you for this question, Sana. So yes, it's part of lessons learned and real life to me. Because in the past, indeed, like 10, 15 years ago, I was working as a project manager. I was really pushing. I wanted to demonstrate and perform as a great professional. I wanted to be promoted. I was pushing. Then I was, in a way, frustrated because it was not moving quickly enough. I had to demonstrate. I was even starting to lobby, ask why I was not promoted. I found it unfair and etc. And then I started even to challenge my line manager at that moment. Why am I not promoted? It's unfair. I'm sure I am ticking all the boxes to be promoted. That's unfair and etc. etc. Then I started also to see other people. You are at the beginning of the year, some people receive their bonus and their end of year review, and some even complain that, okay, that's unfair. I don't get the right level of performance I was expecting. Maybe I should talk to HR, etc. Then I said, hold on, hold on. Do I really want to be this kind of person going to HR, start to ask the same questions and pushing and etc.? Because actually, I started to feel it's not me. That's not the way I've been raised. And also, when I was seeing those kind of behavior, I said, I don't want to stay with those people. You know, the moment when you feel that some people are a bit toxic because this is not the behavior you would like to see, then I said, maybe must be another way to still move, to still grow, to still be recognized without self promotion, making so much noise. And this is where, at that moment, I started to be a bit more quiet and strategic, but without thinking, of course, at that moment that I would write one day a quite ambition book.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is very, very. Um, I mean, I can connect with that because sometimes more than strategic or having that pragmatism, we kind of connect so much emotionally with that ambition of growing up, and we try to put everything, our health, our time, our relationships, our personal life, everything at risk, for that just one goal that we have set. It gives us that fuel to even keep moving on, even if things look again work against us. um, but I think through this moment or event that happened with you, it kind of was like a homecoming for you. So we'll explore the further moments in that. But before that, I would like to ask Patrick that, do you think the quietly ambitious risk being overlooked in environments that reward visibility and self promotion?
Yeah, that's always the risk, or at least we could see a risk there. But actually, quiet ambition doesn't mean that you are absent. Okay. Again, you are still there, but you would decide on what moment to be more visible. At the end, you have to be much more strategic. It's not about talking from the morning to the evening, but finding the right moment where you have to shine. It typically basic. It can be in a specific meeting with your line management where maybe you open the conversation, or you rephrase during the meeting, or you wrap up the meeting, or you
Mm.
simply ask questions that help the conversation to move forward. That is the quiet ambition. Because at the end, it's not about let me make this study move forward. Let me bring this conversation to the next level. It's rather, do you believe that you could evaluate some new options? What are the alternatives? I thought about one or two. Here they are. What else can we do? And then you start to be quiet, yes, but still ambitious.
Mm. It is definitely a powerful refrain, because I feel like so many people, especially in corporate settings, they struggle between being seen and staying true. It's almost like you have to perform. You have to be performative. You have to perform confidence instead of actually feeling it. It's like this, facade, this mask, um, and you approach challenges that idea head on. So, Patrick, thank you for sharing your story. And now, talking about the pressure to perform, like in industries, and that too in high stakes industries like pharma, the pressure to deliver, it can make even calm leadership look like complacency. So, how do you balance composure with drive? Especially when the expectations are this, like sky high.
Yes, indeed. I'm working, as you know, in the pharmaceutical industry, more specifically vaccines development. Of course, we are in industry with high stakes expectations, and how to not be perceived as complacent. Again, it's about being strategic on when to show and shine what you can bring to the conversation, how you can bring people together and move forward. It might be talking a bit less, but highlighting, okay, here I see a few risks. Here they are. I think we should go via these processes. We should engage with this and this person. This is how you can still show that you are the captain in the room, but without saying that you're the captain. It's about it. It's your actions are talking on your behalf.
Mhm. I agree. I strongly agree, Patrick, with that. I strongly agree because um, many times I've observed this in meetings that, especially in meetings and these team hurdles, that um, people assume that if you're quiet and not saying anything, even if how much ever your input is valuable, people would still assume that could not participate in the meeting, or you are not a part of that team. You do not want to be part of that team or project because you're not speaking loudly or you're not saying anything. And I think that that's quite a misconception in there.
Yes, yes. Indeed, it's a misconception because again, we are so much in the society where we are expected to be loud and visible. But people confound being quiet with being invisible, because that's not the point. Again, you can be silent during the meeting, but decide at the end of the meeting that you can wrap up the conversation and even list the actions and even take some of them. And then people actually will remember that it's good to have this person in the meeting because they are quiet, but at the end, they understand everything that we are saying and they are summarizing and even taking some actions. Isn't it what we want at the end of a meeting, by the way?
Mm. And in your book, Quiet Ambition, uh, you have, you share a framework for achieving meaningful success, and especially because now, if we want to look at the solution, let's say, how we can you know get a practical way, especially leaders, how they can get a practical way to project confidence without crossing into burnout or self promotion or ego driven territory. So can you share a glimpse of that framework with our listeners, Patrick?
Yes, of course, Sana. So I would say start by understanding who you are. What is your ambition? What does it mean for you, by the way? And how would this success look like? Because it's really important to understand at the end who you are. It's about self exploration at the beginning. That's the first thing I say. And in my with the several chapters, I have put a lot of exercises after each chapter just to be sure that we take the time to pause and reflect. Then, once we know where we want to go, it's about keeping on diving into the heart of our ambition, checking what is our real personal ambition, being aware of, in a way, the ego, be sure that it's not only ego driven. And then you have to cultivate your ambition. Because when you cultivate it, you have to decide on what is my real goals. Can I have um, an action plan? Explore who can motivate me, who can help me achieve this ambition. That's of course obvious. Using also mentoring, networking, and get feedback and advices from people around you, people with experience. I call them your board of advisors. So they are those people who can be advisors, mentors, sponsors, advocates, ambassadors. You call them as you wish, but at the end, they all have a specific role to play with you. And I think that is really important. Insist on the is quiet ambition is the part of discretion. There's no need to say loud and to everybody that you want to reach a certain position. You have to share it wisely with people who will support you, because at the end, you may face people who are jealous, who will try to not see you succeed, etc. So that is really important. That's why I'm calling it also quiet, because behind quiet it's discretion. And then real life story. The moment you are ambitious, let's say obstacles and adversity are coming. It's so traumatic. So you need to be persistent and adaptable, because you may have your beautiful plan, great advices from everybody, but you may have some surprises, unexpected things happening to you, and you have to adapt. Because by being adaptable, resilient, even, you will succeed sooner or later. But you also, you have to be patient, because it may take more time than expected. So that's my summary.
Mm. And I loved the specific point here that you have to make sure that you share your truest ambitions, your goals, whatever you want to achieve, with only few selective ones, those who you believe they can be your mentors or maybe advisors, or the board of advisors that you said. Because unfortunately it is true. I mean, we can see that, especially we talk about corporate politics and stuff. um Unfortunately, it is inevitable. So sometimes, there can be stuff, there can be things, which can jeopardize your plan or your way forward. So I think you have to be very, very mindful, in with whom you are sharing your truest, your deepest ambitions in there.
Yes, Sana, because what I explain in my book, you have to balance between not sharing with too many people and not hide it completely from anybody, because at the end, if you hide completely, you may not get feedback or the right level of help, and maybe your plan is not the right one, by the way. So that's why, you balance with a few people. But on the opposite, when you share too much, you should not underestimate the fact that by sharing your ambition, you might be a mirror for some people who are just wannabes, dreaming of things, and at the end, they really not dare to do it. And you would have the courage to do it. And so they would see it as a threat, like, what does he want to show? Who does he think he is? And etc. I like to say, give them some basic example. Announce tomorrow that you make your house built. You will see how people react. The same if you want to say, okay, I want to do the marathon in, let's say, New York, Roma, or whatever. You will always find people who will tell you, okay, make your house built. It's dangerous. It's a lot of stress. It will take 2 years. You will lose so much money. The same for marathon. Yeah, but are you ready? How are you about to prepare? Because you have a life. What does think your husband or your wife, and etc. etc. While on the opposite, what? Oh, you are running a marathon, but that's great. That's a good news. Let's celebrate this. What's your plan? When are you flying? How much are you training every week? Oh, you are so courageous. Bravo. You see, these are also the basic way to see who are your real allies, and maybe your hidden enemies.
Exactly. Exactly. That is so right. That is so right. And you also talk about achieving meaningful success without burnout. Um, Now, what does that look like in practice, Patrick? I mean, if you can support with some moments from your, or any kind of practice that you do in your everyday life.
Yes, so it's about your advisors, mentors, coaches, etc., where you are expected to build a very strong and trustful relationship, where those people will see how you are evolving. If they start to see, okay, here you have a problem because I see you are tired, I see you are stressed, etc., those people may tell you, there is something going on here. What's going on? What's happening to you? You are not the same, and etc. So being, of course, in a very dynamic environment, so vaccine development, there is, of course, competition. There is the pressure to deliver the vaccines and medicine for the future, because we have the patient at the heart of what we are doing. But there is a risk, of course, of working too much. At the end, that's it, and being exhausted. So that is where your advisors in general have to look at you, and they are looking at you naturally. But it's also us being able to listen and accept the feedback, like, what are you doing here? You seem to be tired. Okay. And having the humility to accept that maybe we are exaggerating, because if we had a friend doing the same, wouldn't we tell this person, you are working too much, you are pushing too hard, maybe we should rest and relax? So that's one one way to do it. But it's also taking some, let's say, habits, like, who are the friends who make you feel good and even more energized. You list those 2 or 3 people, and you do what I do regularly. Actually, I put reminders to have meetings or even lunch, or having a 2 hours walk somewhere, because I know that those people, when I am with them, they help me relax. So it's about, again, exploring yourself, and take the habit to just meet those key people who help you just relax or think about something else.
Hmm. It makes sense. It makes sense. I think it also gets real, because uh, success without this peace of mind, it I believe it isn't really success at all. And I think a lot of people who are listening to us, they could be in that phase of, trying to redefine what it enough looks like.
Yes, yes. So self exploring, it's really important. And again, what does success look like? That's really a so much personal definition that we should take the time to find the answer. I mean, from the beginning, and not just pursuing success or a new position just for the sake and the ego of saying, okay, now I am executive director in the pharmaceutical industry. But then what does it mean? What does it mean? What is success comparable to, and etc. I mean, I took one day off last Thursday and I decided to go with my three daughters to a Lego center in Brussels, just having a full day. Then we went and eat tacos, and that's it. That is success, even if I am an executive director with several hundred of people reporting to me. At the end, I make a pause, I organize with my daughters, and that's it. And that is what we should not lose sight, because my profession, my career are really important. That's for sure. But I want also to have fun with my daughters. And if I don't spend enough time with them, don't worry, they will tell me because they don't care. You know, they are specialized in the 260 feedback. They want to tell me something, they just tell it. And fine.
No, no, I think that is a very, uh, that is something, many people would think that it's difficult to achieve, but I think it all comes down to intention. If you have that intention, you can make time. You can not balance, but at least, harmonize both the things, both your professional and your personal sides. Um, and you mentioned about, when you were sharing about your framework, Patrick, that you have to first begin with understanding who you are. Um, uh, how exactly did you do that for yourself, Patrick? When you, after all that happened with you, you realized that you need to explore this side of quiet ambition, a more strategic approach towards achieving your goals or your ambition. How did you try to understand yourself or explore yourself? Were there any specific um, practice or any kind of you know um, self introspection that you had to do?
Yes, there were several. So the basic thing is, what do I like to do? What are my strengths? It's about, knowing myself. So I made a test with the Gallup Strength Finder, and where I discovered that I love to learn and I love to transfer things, transfer in general. So it can be, in a way, teaching, training, coaching, mentoring. All of this is the same. It's just transferring skills. I like to do this. And also, who are the people I really admire, but not in a way people who are famous, but just people in the day to day.
Mm.
When I meet, these are the people I can relate to, because these are people I can call and talk to. And at the end, it was a lot of people who do the same. They like to help the others, share new skills, and make the others grow. That allowed me to understand more and more that I was more a people manager first. So it's about mentoring, helping the others moving forward, and that's really my passion. I like to say that even if I have an important meeting with a client, if I hear and I see somebody who would need my advices, even 30 minutes, etc., I may drop everything and run to do it. That's me. That's really who I am. But then about exploring is also sharing with the others. What's your opinion? I'm working on this. I'm more interested in helping, coaching, etc. What's your opinion? Oh yeah, yeah. I really see you doing this because you like to do X, Y, Z. And then you are surprised because people know you better than you think. By the way, so that's some of ways to do. But also, again, what's your definition of ambition? I mean, I took the time to write to me what was for me ambition. And I like to say, I have a very simple definition. To me, ambition is the fire that pushes me forward. That's it. No 3 pages, no big seminary to explain. That's just how I see it.
Yeah.
Who are the people who can influence me on my definition on ambition? Then I see, well, these are the people who are like me, thinking that it is this inner fire. And then I think about the qualities and what they do so much special that is inspiring me. And then, of course, it's about thinking about history. And also, of course, listing just some goals that I find ambitious, that I would like to achieve. Thinking about the challenges I would see. What challenges would I would have to face to overcome those challenges, to reach this ambition. And then thinking about who can help me. Because at the end, ambitious people, I mean, some of them may believe they have to do it by themselves. And that's wrong. That's a big mistake. I'm not believing in the self-made man concept. Because at the end, even if you think you are a self-made man, maybe a client trusted you, a bank gave you a mortgage or a loan, and etc. etc. It's never alone.
Understood. Understood. And I really loved that. Very simple, no complicated words or anything, just simple definition of ambition. I think that really comes from a point of clarity, Patrick. And that clarity itself, it comes, when you actually try to or begin on that journey to understand, to explore yourself, whether it's your strengths or your weakness or your skills or what exactly you love to do, what exactly you're passionate about. So, yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
Yes, and uh, uh, I mean, a simple shop is also, is it really your ambition or the one of somebody else?
Mm.
You know, because at the end, I'm working in the vaccine industry as, let's say, people manager, but I'm not a doctor. Why? My father was a doctor. So my ambition was not to be a doctor. So that's why I know. So this ambition is mine because it's working in vaccine industry because I like to contribute to the health of people. That's one part. But I'm so much in the people management. So with my job today, it's a combination. And I know so many people who are ambitious because the family in general was expecting those people to reach at that level. And that's what also I try to not do with my kids and ensure that they can do anything, they are conscious of it. They increase their self-esteem and self-confidence. But I want them to explore and to read, to see, to learn, to ask questions. And I don't know if they will be like me, an engineer in the future, or if they do something completely different. Technically, I don't care. My job is to be sure as a father that they know what is happening, what is existing, so that they can make their own choices. And that's exactly what I'm doing with the people I mentor and coach. At the end, they may come with an ambition. I said my role is not automatically to make you succeed in your ambition, but at least to open your door so that you have the choice and maybe you will do this and maybe you will do something else. Or ideal situation, you may even surprise yourself and go beyond what you were expecting.
That is such a good point. Such a good point, Patrick. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. So before we wrap up, if our listeners they would like to get a hold of your book, Quiet Ambition, and they would also like to connect with you, share their thoughts about this conversation, Patrick, what will be the best way?
So the best way is to connect to me via LinkedIn, Patrick Kamba. You will find me very easily. And so regarding my book, you can go on Amazon.com, for example, and it's actually available all around the world. Quiet Ambition in English. And it's also Le Secret de l'Ambition in French. So it's available on Amazon on paper version and also on ebook and audio, but only in French. Otherwise, paper for everybody, every language.
Super, super. Listeners, what I'll do for you is I'll have all these links and details in the show notes. So I invite all of you to check out Patrick's book, Quiet Ambition. And I think why I'm asking, because I think this conversation and Patrick's journey, his experiences, and his insights, they offer a refreshing take on ambition, not as a noise or performance, but as a presence and integrity. And it is definitely a reminder for all of us listeners that success doesn't always require a stage. Maybe sometimes it needs stillness, clarity, and courage. So, Patrick, thank you so much. This was such an important conversation, and I really, really, I'm really thankful to you for your insights.
Thank you, Sana. Really appreciated this great opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you to all of you listeners, because you are such an integral part of this podcast. And if this conversation resonated with you, check out Quiet Ambition and also subscribe to us, leave us a review, because that exactly keeps us going on, keeps us showing up every day for you. And until then, this is your host, Sana, signing off from BizBlend. Thank you.